Hello, this is Catherine from Accelerated Reader Reading Books for You. Today I will be reading Chapter 2 from Mark, Vardy, and the School of Ninjas by C.J.T. Wilkins. Before I begin reading, I would like to give a big thanks to the author for sending me this book to read on my channel. In the description below, I've included links where you may find and purchase this book. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Chapter 2. Mark sat by the window and looked out of the train as it sped on its way. His mother had put him on the train at London with his suitcase and brown paper bag containing his sandwiches and a bottle of juice. His mother was very keen on furnishing people with sandwiches, and this epic journey called for his very favorite sandwiches, chocolate spread and banana. All great adventures start with a journey, thought Mark. As he looked out of the window, his mind was a jumble of many things. Mainly, he was very excited. He was on his way to becoming a police officer. This was all he had ever wanted. He had dreamt of this for as long as he could remember. He would become like his father, a hero and a protector. He remembered his father's words to him, "Protect your mother." Although he didn't want to leave his mother, he knew that the only way he could protect her was by training and learning, becoming what he needed to be. The city scenes in the window gradually became interspersed with the countryside as the London suburbs gave way to towns, villages, and the fields in between. He had eaten his sandwiches by the time the train arrived at a big city by the sea. The train headed along the coast, and Mark was fascinated to see the docks with their very tall cranes. The scenery soon changed. He saw forest and heathland. Mark looked out in amazement. He had never seen anything like this. Where he had grown up, there had been the moor, but he had never seen a forest. He started counting trees, but gave up very quickly. There were more trees than he had ever imagined being in one place. There was an announcement from the train guard that the next stop would be his stop. Mark's ears pricked up. He gathered his suitcase, put his sandwich bag in the little bin between the seats, and rustled the suitcase down the aisle towards the door. When the train door opened, he pulled his case out onto the platform of an old-fashioned railway station. A tall, slender man in a smart black suit, with a black shirt but no tie, was clearly waiting for him. He approached Mark immediately. "Master Mark Vardy?" he checked. Mark nodded. "Yes, sir." Mark had been brought up to address adults with respect. He thought it might be a very good idea to treat this man with respect. There was something very still and dangerous looking about him, even though he had only been polite and pleasant in his manner so far. The tall man introduced himself. "I am from the Academy. I am here to collect you." With that, he took Mark's suitcase very easily, as if it weighed no more than a small bag of carrots. "Follow," he said briefly, and walked rapidly away. Mark followed him up a flight of stairs, over a bridge, and down the other stairs. Waiting outside was a big, sleek, black limousine. The man put Mark's case in the boot and opened the door for the boy. "Your carriage awaits," he said with a half smile. Mark's jaw dropped. He had seen cars like this in films, but not in real life. He could not believe that he was being asked to get into this incredible-looking car. He didn't need to be asked twice, though, and scrambled in, babbling questions about it. "What kind of car is this? Is it yours? How big is the engine? Is it a police car?" The man ignored the questions and simply said, "It's not a long journey. You will soon be at the academy." Mark did as he was told. As the car took him on his way, he didn't know whether to look at the car's amazing interior or out the window at the scenes that unfolded. He saw a small village with pubs, shops, and a church. They drove through a ford at the bottom of the high street, and he exclaimed with excitement as plumes of water flew up on either side of the car. Then they were in the forest. There was heathland and so many trees. His eyes flew wide open when he saw ponies just wandering around without any people. "Are those wild horses?" asked Mark. "Pretty much," answered the driver. "They all belong to people called commoners, but they get to run wild out here and live a fairly natural life." "What are they?" asked Mark, as they passed some very large animals with long, shaggy, orange coats and long, twisting horns. "They are highland cattle," was the reply. "And they are wild too?" "Pretty much," came the reply again. Clearly, the driver didn't find this subject as interesting or surprising as Mark did. Mark wondered what sort of magical place he had come to, where there was a forest and wild animals like this. Before long, the limousine slowed, before stopping in front of tall, wrought iron gates. He pressed a button in the car, and the gates smoothly sailed open, revealing a long straight drive lined in lime trees. At the very end of the drive was a glimpse of a magnificent building, a beautiful country manor house. Mark's mouth and eyes widened in disbelief. He was so amazed that he had no questions, which was unusual for him. The car glided up the drive and stopped at the foot of a set of stone steps. The driver got out and came round to the door and opened it. Mark peered around as he climbed out of the car and looked up at the building ahead of him. "It's a mansion!" he exclaimed. The building was indeed a substantial one, with great wings stretching left and right and tall turrets pointing up. It was several stories high and had beautiful windows that shimmered with diamond shapes in the light. A massive, ornately carved wooden door opened and a smartly dressed butler appeared. "Good afternoon, Master Vardy. Please come in." He stood back and gestured through the open door. Mark turned to retrieve his suitcase. The car had already gone. "Don't worry about that," said the butler. "It will be taken up for you. I expect you are hungry after your journey. Would you follow me to the refectory, please, young man?" Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for Chapter 3. Don't forget to like and subscribe. In the description below, I've included links for me to find and purchase this book.